Hello, my name is Call, and this is for GPE340 Motion Project Milestone 3. Now, as you can see, I do have all the elements from Project 1 still on, so you can still move and still pick up and such. Alright, there is a nav mesh on my field, and the AI navigates that using the nav mesh agent to pathfind over the navigation, the nav mesh. The enemy, as you saw, does navigate towards where the player is, as shown by him chasing the player. And he does that by calling the move with root motion and setting the agent's desired destination to the target, and it chases. If he should use root motion by getting the agent's desired velocity, timing that by move speed, then getting the desired velocity of move towards desired velocity, agent's desired velocity, and agent's acceleration of time times time dot delta time, gets the inverse of the desired velocity, and then sets the floats to the inputs Z and X axes for vertical and horizontal, but it's not working right. As you see, he's still in T-pose, so I'll have to look that over with and look that up with and see if I can find it, and if not, see if someone else knows what's wrong. As you can see here, he does not have a weapon equipped, and I move, and he will walk through and equip a weapon. He equips a weapon, he can shoot at the player, shoot at me, and that's because he has a pawn which has the on equip and such, and then he has an AI, and in the weapons there's a line of code for if the tag for the object that this weapon is equipped to is an enemy, it will on attack as long as the player is within an attack distance that's variable by the designers if the tag is enemy. If the tag is player, you have to press left mouse key to shoot. So he does equip and shoot at the player. No. He does ragdoll on death, and this is done by hooking up colliders and rigid bodies to every single piece in the enemy's avatar, and then when it starts, you hooks everything up to the correct part, deactivates the ragdoll, so it's all the colliders are not enabled, all the rigid bodies are kinematic, main colliders enabled, main rigid bodies not kinematic and such, which allows it to move using the animators and such, and then when it's the die, it activates the colliders, it doesn't activate the rigid body, so it sort of collapses as if it actually would. And I have a player pawn that does spawn enemies over time. I just turned it off for this example for testing, so I don't get swarmed with enemies while testing. But as shown, they do spawn over time, and it's variable by what the player chooses to. And in there, you can spawn. You have two different types of spawns. You have one where you can spawn it constantly, to where every single time it spawns one, it resets the timer and goes through it, and then so it would respawn one every 10 seconds. Versus if you don't want to do that, it waits until the current object is killed, then it spawns a new one. And they do have gizmos that you can edit. You can edit the size, and you can edit that, and you can get them sizes and modify other stuff with it and such, and have fun. If you see, my code is well commented. All my code is well commented, well documented. I was thinking about the scope with it, so everything's works well, works good. It's commented, so it makes it easier to navigate. The new mechanic is for the enemy AI. I have 3 different states, to where if it's above half health, the set destination for them to move to is the player AI. So it swarms the player, and it'll stop with outside the variable distance given of, right now it's at shooting range, which is 5 meters, but you can change it to 10, whatever you want to change it to. Then if it's between half health and a fourth of their health, it'll run the opposite direction of the player and run away. And if it's less than a fourth health, it'll grab a random pickup from the pickups list, and then it'll go and run to that object. And because it's for all pickups, so it can have healing, can have landmines, it'll choose a random one and run towards it, and then pick another one and run towards that after it's done. And if it's at no health, it kills itself. And another new mechanic that I've added is I have a pseudo game manager till I get the actual game manager get up. It has a game object for the player and a list of game objects for the enemies, the pickups, and the weapons. And it does this by whenever a pickup in the main pickup, it gets the pseudo game manager till I actually get the game manager in, and it adds itself when it spawns to the list for pickups. And then when it gets picked up, it removes itself from the list till a new one spawned, and then it gets added. It does the weapons do the exact same thing, but adds themselves to the weapons list. The character controller does it for the player of whatever the character controller's pawn is. That game object is the player, becomes the pseudo player, and then the AI does the exact same thing. When it starts, it gets the pseudo game manager, it adds itself to it, and then when it dies, it removes itself from the list. That way you can go and you can have an enemy that the enemy can get the player's pawns easier by just finding the game manager, adding itself to the enemies list, and then have the player equals the pseudo player. and then you can get all the stats from there, and it makes it a lot easier than having to try and find it in the world and then accidentally getting the wrong one. And that'll be everything. Thank you for watching.